I failed getting into Microsoft and Facebook. Those were two opportunities that really hurt. I was so excited when I was contacted by Microsoft and Facebook many years ago and they wanted me to work for them, but then it all blew up around me. So they didn't want me. It felt like a personal defeat in a certain way. It hurt because those were really two companies I would be honored to work for. In this video I will tell you how I failed to get into Microsoft and Facebook. Hi, my name is Christoph Pütz. I'm a senior IT manager. I have over 22 years of hands-on IT experience and I love working in information technology. So here on my YouTube channel I share some of that experience and my skills with you. So who wouldn't like to work for Microsoft or Facebook? So if you raise your hand, same did I. There are Google, Microsoft, Facebook, Apple, Netflix, and of course a few others. Yes, in a way, these companies are not that different from normal companies. But then if you're really into information technology, you know what I'm talking about. You know that it would be really cool to work for some of these companies. They have changed the way how we live and work, right? So I often jokingly say actually that Microsoft has been paying my bills since 1999 because that's when I landed my first job in information technology, but not at Microsoft. So in the almost 23 years since then, I always had an eye open for positions at Microsoft just to see if there's anything, but it really never worked out. The opportunity never really opened up. However, about 12 years ago in my career, I received a call from a Microsoft recruiter. And I had built up a solid reputation as a virtualization specialist back then. And that apparently showed in my LinkedIn profile and the recruiter reached out to me. So I had jumped onto the opportunity to do virtualization with VMware's virtualization platform really early on. That was in 2004 and 2005. Most companies back then didn't even really look closely at virtualization, and it took several years later for them to really catch up. So at that time, for me as an IT professional, I had a competitive advantage. So for one, I had years of experience already. So I was frequently in touch with VMware, my rep, and other professionals in that area. So and you build up a small reputation really. And I think that was probably enough that even VMware reached out to me a few times and asked if I wanted to work for them. But I never really liked the role as a senior support engineer in their Denver call center that they had in mind for me. So for me, I was in a position I could be picky. So then the Microsoft recruiter called and asked about my interest in a virtualization related position at Microsoft. It's like, yay, that's me here, pick me up. So I had some Microsoft Hyper-V related knowledge as well, but VMware was really my bread and butter. And I was very open about that with the recruiter. The recruiter said back then that this wouldn't be a problem at all. We discussed the position and agreed to start the interview process. So I would have to interview with several of their Microsoft consultants and of course the Premier Support team. The first interview went great, but I had a growing feeling that this would not work out in my favor. And sure enough, when the second interview was done, I was like, nope, this is not working out. It was a very technical interview. And while I was able to answer the generic virtualization related questions, the Hyper-V specific ones, I failed. I knew it, I had failed, and there was no denial. So there were no additional interviews after that, as you can imagine. So a few years later, I was contacted by a recruiter from Facebook for a team lead position in one of their internal IT teams. Everything sounded great and I was really super interested to move forward with this. So based on what I was told by the recruiter and how my skills and my knowledge aligned, it should be a great fit. So the recruiter checked with the hiring manager and then scheduled another call with me. During this call, the recruiter asked me some technical questions. So she was given these questions by the team to pre-qualify candidates in these situations. And sure enough, I failed enough of these technical questions so that this no longer moved forward. So for Facebook, this was really black and white. They just wanted to weed out people that did not meet the technical skills that they were looking for. So you fail part of the technical portion of the pre-qualification process and you're out. So that happened to me. And again, I was very disappointed, as you can imagine. So 2 out of 2, I failed. Those are 2 companies I would be really honored to work for. And yeah, it did not work out. So who knows how my career would have changed if any of these 2 opportunities would have come through. I analyzed each situation and I learned really 2 important things from this. A, you cannot necessarily blame the recruiter or the hiring manager or the team or even myself. There are just too many components in this whole process, and everyone involved in this way is to be blamed potentially. So the recruiter can only be as detailed or good as what the hiring manager provides as information. So really keep in mind that the recruiter is not a technical person. She may not even understand your questions and has to relay them back to the hiring manager. So I was to blame as I didn't really properly understand the job description and what was the position about. So let's say with Facebook, I was focusing on the team lead role and really more the people management, but I did not realize they were expecting me to be very hands-on, very technical, almost like a senior or lead level systems administrator. And well, that wasn't me at that point. I was really heading down that path with people management. I was blinded by the opportunity, and instead I should have stayed away from moving forward, because in the end, well, I was well aware of my knowledge gap and had mentioned that to the recruiter, but overall it was just like miscommunication in many different ways. So for Facebook, in a way, you could say I was betting the ranch on my people management and leadership skills, and while these skills apparently were really just secondary to Facebook, they were focusing on the primary, on the technical skills. So I had mentioned I was focusing on the people management side, leadership side, and that was really the direction I was heading at that point in my career. I was trying to make that transition from an individual contributor into people management. So this didn't work out. Again, I was really bummed, but it is what it is. So the Microsoft situation was very similar, but it was different really. So the recruiter had contacted me because of my VMware knowledge and the related experience. The hiring manager or the team, however, they had focused on the Hyper-V related technical knowledge. And that was their primary criteria. I would think that it was clearly a communication issue within Microsoft. So the recruiter was probably told, we need somebody that has VMware knowledge because we want to migrate other companies and customers from VMware to Microsoft Hyper-V. And that's probably where the miscommunication happened. So I was really just a victim of that situation, really, that the recruiter did not have enough information, and overall it even failed to be communicated appropriately within Microsoft when they presented my resume to the hiring manager and the team. I should have recognized this really better, that the position was more about Hyper-V. I was blinded. I was really excited about the potential situation of working for Microsoft. And in the end, yeah, this turned into a major disappointment and a waste of time really for me and the interview partners at Microsoft. I'm now a senior IT manager and I have to hire people every once in a while, and I know how time-consuming that process is. So from that perspective, I really feel their pain and totally get it. Coming back to the opportunity at Facebook one more time. At that time, as mentioned, I was already transitioning into a people management role, and I should have really asked the appropriate question. Is this position more about people management, or is it more about the technical side of the business? So you may ask, why am I sharing this with you? I want to make sure that you know, while really failure is going to happen, you do not need to let it define you. So don't let the excitement of a potential work environment at a cool company, higher pay, excellent benefits blind you. It's really critical. So since that time, I made it a habit for myself. I asked more questions about the things that matter to me in that situation. So if the job description is not very clear, I ask those questions in advance before I really go into that interview process. The same thing applies with, like, now we're during COVID, what does the flexible work environment look like? Or do you have to go to the office 5 days? So I'm asking these type of questions. It's important to me. I want to be happy at work. If I'm happy, I can deliver the best work, and that's really critical when you go in. Just don't let the money or anything else blind you. You need to make sure that the job description kind of really fits your needs and your desires so that you can deliver that value. So very, very critical. So keep your excitement under control, and it potentially will save you a lot of time. So it also lets you appear more professional. So with the recruiters understand that you're not necessarily at that point, or that you don't feel it's a good fit, but maybe they have a different, better fitting position down the road. So I gained more clarity, what skills I needed, what I wanted to focus on, and it led me really to become a successful senior IT manager. So have you been in similar situations? I would love to hear from you in the comments. That's it for today. I hope you liked this video. If you do, please give it a thumbs up. If you have not subscribed to my channel, please do so as well. And then I hope to see you in my next video. Thank you for watching and have a great day. Bye-bye.